Well, indeed, thank you for staying with us for this second part of the Farm Kenya show. My name is Peter Wakaba, and our guest, Monica Maina, that of course is agronomist and farmer extraordinaire, is still here with us in studio to give us her insights into farming as a young person and give us insights into her success story and what she has had to do to get where she is. Of course, still here with us in studio. Now, before we went to the break, we had indicated that for resilience, apart from, of course, stopping being dependent on either rain or sunshine, we can start to talk about things like insurance and other innovative interventions that farmers have been able to use to ensure that, as we say, wasitoke kwa soko, that sort of thing. Talk to us about that and the role they've played in your story.
We have the different chemical companies. Let me call them chemical companies because with agriculture, there are some people using the organic farming, which is the most dependent thing at the moment for people, for most of the people. And there is those people doing in large scale using the chemical. And of course, most of the farmers doing the large scale are always on insurance from the chemical companies. Let's say you're using a different, let's say you're using like the beer. The beer company, and you're doing something, you're doing a crop that you have to use the chemicals from them. So you talk to them and you find them and they'll come, they visit your farm and they see what you're doing. They'll give you the policies of the insurance that you need to sign in, fill in, have gone through them, and then you'll understand the policies and you'll be like, I need this because once I have like now, whatever you are experiencing, the drowning and everything, at least for the part of the insurance, they cover up, it's not 100, for your input they cover up. So most of the people are not indulged into the policies of the insurance. Wanajua tu insurance ni gari na health.
Because of information? Is it ignorance? Ama hawataki? Why do you think that is
lack of information? And that's why I urge farmers, if you hear about a farming training somewhere, session going on, please go there. Because unless you go to the farm training sessions that are undergoing all over from different agricultural companies and sectors, who is doing vitu? So most of the people are not having information about the insurance. Wanajua insurance ni health, na gari na nini. But still we have the crop insurance that you get from different agricultural sectors and different companies that will help you cover up for the farm inputs that you're using.
Let's move now to poultry. I heard you say earlier that you love to eat chicken. Let's talk about chicken farming. How you got started into that, what it's been like. But let's start with how you got in and then what challenges you encountered.
Back then I told you I went to a certain poultry farm where they nurtured me and taught me everything from A to Z about the poultry farming. And I would see the profit that they are getting from that. In poultry there is a selling of the eggs. There's a selling of the, let's say if you're doing broilers, there's a selling of the chicken. And then there is selling of the chicks. So you find, I was like, in this poultry thing, unapata hii, unauza hii, na unauza hii, na unauza hii. So I was like, let me try and see whether I can give it to the society. And I started with the brooding of chicks. And it was the most hectic thing I ever did on my own. I remember, because you have to be there 24/7. Remember there I was there as a worker, and you are meaning to do that. So here I'm on the ground, when you niko na hawajui about the brooding of the chicks.
So ndio kila kitu.
Sasa mimi ndio kila kitu. I remember I almost gave up. Mimi ningepata watu wanasema tunataka vifaranga, niko hakuna vifaranga at the moment. So you find brooding of the chicks gave me an approach of poultry farming because it always kept me. Unaamka saa 9 unajiambia Mungu sasa zimekufa ngapi? Because and then ukianza sasa kuuza mayai ndio unaona poultry iko na pesa. So from the brooding of chicks, and you have the parent stock. The first chicks that you bought, since ya kwanza lazima ununue. So before zifike pale 6 months, it was kungoja sana because you have to feed them till zifike 6 months so that they can start laying the eggs. Then you can have your own incubator. You can start incubating your own eggs and brooding chicks. The eggs are fertilized. So it was a task for process.
And sometimes you can have a jogo that is not bothered, or even worse, is not really.
It's not even mating the other hens. Ama upate you are rationing of the poultry. These females to this male
1 to 4, 1 to 5,
utabata uko like 1 to 7. Hiyo jogo hata itachoka bana. So you get some of the eggs zitakuwa unfertilized. So whenever you go to the incubator unapata out of 100 umepata 60. Utaanza kushangaa mayai yangu na nilikuwa ni ya kuku wameoana.
So you get more cocks in there to come and fight.
At least you don't exhaust them, but at least you should have a good rationing of the cocks versus the hen. So with time I grew, and then now I perfected on brooding.
Yes.
Now we have to the selling of eggs.
Ukazoea kuamka 3 a.m.
Nikaamka kupata na stress, si hata kuamka 3 a.m. ni kupata stress throughout. Juu kama uko na kifaranga lazima ufikirie.
What sort of equipment were you using? Did you have the real brooder, the incubator, or were you improvising? Unajua kuna wale watu wanaweka the drum with the makaa, others will put others will put a lamp.
I was using the briquettes.
Yes.
And the brooding pots.
Yes.
But at least for the briquettes, whenever nimeziwasha kama 6 in the evening,
yes.
I'm assured
until
in the next morning 6,
yes.
they see that room temperature will still be in.
High, yes.
So I have to wake up now and start kuwasha jiko tena for the day. Yes. Since a day old inahitaji joto, ni kama mtoto mdogo tu venye unanacha. So yes. you have to be there for that day old. So I'm using the briquettes, and then with time,
and this was of course within an enclosure indoors, because ukieka nje the hawks will get them.
Predators, yes. Rats utapata kifaranga amekuliwa mguu hana mguu. It was stress. Like yes, ukenda lunch ndio unaona zinakimbia uko, and they are big on the roof base. You can't climb up to there.
They are big enough to.
Yes, so even though you tumia ati kina rat. Hizo panya ni kubwa, they still hata atasikia kama zimekula kitu. So with time, and you have put that cardboard around those zikuwa at a medium place. So watu utapata hapa kwa side najaribu venye itashika kama mguu. So utapata faranga mkiama na ruka na mguu mmoja shakuliwa na panya. So you have challenges.
So what did you do?
And close, making sure everywhere is closed.
Yes.
Making sure I had to disinfect strongly with that strong disinfectant. It will burn their nostrils, and they want to run away. So once I do that, I did enclose everywhere with a chicken mesh, such that they could not find any end route to kuingia huko ndani. That's why I solved my case, since the chemicals are not using on that.
Interesting story. Now your things are 6 months old, and they've started laying, and you're incubating.
Yes, now I can sell my chicks, and now the eggs. Ikafika sasa, now I won't do the eggs, selling of the eggs, since now I've majored on the brooding of chicks. And I have quite a number of clients that you want to sell the chicks. So as long as you are selling the best variety, the best breed ya kuku, you utai go out of customers. So I had to sell the first batch only.
Yes.
But then nilikuwa na incubator moja. So unapata it takes 21 days to incubate.
Yes.
So until I get the 758 eggs of mine, zikifika niweke kwa incubator for the 21 days, I'll sell my eggs. Most of the 18th day nitakuwa nimeuza mayai yangu, lakini from there, because tena hiyo mayai ikikaa it won't hatch. Shouldn't last more than 3 weeks.
Okay.
So it won't hatch. So the fresh, the better. So I would sell up to the 18th day, because that's when you do the turning of the incubator, and then from there I could now put on my batch for the next incubation.
How many eggs are you getting in a day? Because how big is the incubator? How many eggs do you put in there?
The incubator, okay, it's 758. Lakini si lazima ufill to the maximum. You can do it halfly, and then you have to reset. Yes, now from there you can reset. Incubator kuna the resetting of the numbers, the humidity and the temperature. So from there you work on the numbers, since whatever you set on the full capacity, you have to set on the half capacity.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you had to learn all those aspects.
Yes, I had to learn all those aspects right from the first farm I visited, because they're the only incubators hapo nilisoma. Yeah.
So then when you then get to the aspect that you're doing, that is chicks, were you doing eggs as well now after that consistently? And are you doing any other types of chicken, the broilers or the
improved kienyeji? Doing the improved kienyeji. At the moment now, the hard task was knowing about the different breeds of improved kienyeji, because the Croira, the Sasso, the rainbow roosters, and get to know about their characteristic features and how they respond to the environment. Because you find some have a stunted growth rate, let me call it a stunted growth rate. Some grow so fast, some the mortalities are so high whenever they are too young, and some utapata the FCR, feed conversion rate. Ratio yao unapata ziko inaenda sana.
So let's slow it down. So we were now at the point of eggs, and you've said now that that is working. So you're now exploring chickens for meat. And most people know what is called the broiler. The ones that they say are the mushy white.
Yes.
So we now have this thing called the improved kienyeji, which is either a crossbreed or some sort of development of the kienyeji chicken,
chicken,
with improved varieties, right?
Yeah.
So you've mentioned different varieties of that. So talk to us about them and their characteristics and how people can know, because knowing them is also a challenge.
Okay, the characteristic features. Let me talk about the saso.
Yes.
For the saso, we have different type of saso. Saso is the best at the moment. People are only used to the croilers.
Yes, the red and black.
Yes, nipe croiler. But again, if you take the saso and the croilers and you want to work on them, you'll find the saso mortality yake iko chini sana, and the growth rate is so high.
What does it look like?
We have 5 of them. Wow. There is one that is white with some black spots on the around the neck.
Yes.
You have another one that is gray.
Yes.
We call it the silver, is a gray. You have another one that is almost goldish brown. And then the back it have feathers that are still goldish. We have the brown one inakaa kama layers za kawaida. And the makanga. The makanga one, the Sierra, yes, because Sierra, it's called the makanga one. It's almost like croiras, but the watos are different. For the croiras, the watos are always, I call it pink.
Yes, pinkish.
Yes, pinkish. But for the saso, it's a pale pink. It's not dull as the first one.
So essentially, these things are many and it's difficult to know the type. So watu watakuwa kigongo, you're told that this is improved kienyeji.
A history of that, I want saso. And since there is saso, the makanga one that has pale one. And then the croida is the makanga one, but the what was the unaenda unawongo tu. And then the croida ikuwa kubwa. Sasa mtu amezoea ni kikuku kikubwa and then apate.
This one is not great. It is eating.
Kuku yangu nimepea chakula hamei. And then I also go, uliambiwa ni breed gani saso, like this is saso. Because the feed conversion rate between saso and croira and the rainbow roaster is so different.
So is there some sort of certification that farmers have or can give to, so that if a person who's not trained in figuring this out can then be sure what they're getting, or are there specific places where you go by so that you are sure?
If you want to, for like now, let's say I'm selling my chicks.
Yes.
Most of the farmers have visited the place and see whatever I am selling. Wataona the parent stock, because from the parent stock I have my chicks. So if you get the parent, let's say umekuja na kuuzia vifaranga lakini hujaona kuku wenye na kuuzia from.
Yes.
That meaning nachukua mayai from outside source, I incubate na kuuzia, of which I can take any kind of breed out there since ukuji kufuata na nikuuzie. And you find if you cross breed ama nikuuzie different varieties ama different breeds, utapata moja inakuwa kubwa kuliko
ingine. The result is not the same.
So the farmers, I would urge them, whenever you want to buy chicks, usifeel benye tu unapeana pesa. Because hiyo kifaranga uletwe bure.
Yes.
And a month one is 300 shillings. So you can imagine you are buying 100 of them. That is 3,000. You're giving out 3,000, but yet you have not visited the farm. So utakuja uzue kuku hata ujui kwenye ditoke, then utaanza kuteta zinakufa. So the best thing, go visit the farm, see the hygienic of that place. Because again, you can find a unwell kept kukus. Unhygienic is very poor, and then zitoke huko na viral diseases zikuja zikufia kwako, utaanza kulaumu nani na ulilipa na ukaenda nazo kwako.
Na data zimeanza kukohoa.
Yes, naanza kungorota. Lakini wewe ukutaka kwenda huko uone kama zilikuwa zimefunikwa ama okay, mimi nasemanga winning is for 3 weeks.
Yes.
After 3 weeks you expose the chick to the outside source of the world. Yes. Unapata mwingine ameweka hadi blanketi na lights na jiko. Hiyo kuku imezoea pampering of the heat, and then wewe utoe upeleke kwenye geshagi hapo nje.
Yes, umeiachilia huko.
2 days ishaanza kungorota. Just because you didn't visit the farm, uone venye kuko. Jipata kama it was in that enclosed area, you go do the same, you start introducing to the environment slowly, lakini si ile just once. So visit the farm and see whatever they are doing, see the kind of poultry they have, the kind of breeds they have, how they have kept them, whether it's unhygienic or not, so that you can know what steps to follow now.
Farmers can then also start to work to create the environment, the feed stock, the things that will help them nurture this chicken without really being exposed to the vagaries of the market forces, right?
Yeah.
So what are those things that you can start to plant? Ndio kuku ukiweka, I mean, utakuwa tu ukiingia kwako unatoa unapatia without having to 100% depend on soko and of course the BSF.
I love how farmers, most of the poultry farmers now are indulging to the black soldier fly. Love is, that's the BSF.
Yes.
BSF is a source of protein. Yenye saizi ukienda kununua the raw materials from the soko utapata that omena is being sold at 200 per kg.
You're competing with our hotel. Yes.
So whenever you have the BSF, at least you have that source of protein.
Yes.
You'll be supplementing whatever feeds you're giving them with that BSF. There's something called Azora pia.
Yes.
That is so rich in calcium. Hiyo kuku yako haiwezi taga mayai kama enough calcium, na kama itataga mayai poor quality, that will lead to most of the times breakage. You can find them having cannibalism, ile tabia kukulana. But because they don't have enough calcium, sometimes they have the weak links on the legs and they can't stand on their own because they unapata, you have the feed companies that they're supplementing our feeds, but again they have the ratio that si lazima upate
formulation.
Yes, upate formulation yao venye iko poor, ama they have wameka low quality and low quantity of feeds zenye ziko hapo, so utapata most of the supplements they are being given, they are not adding whatever is supposed to be added.
So there's a deficiency.
Yes, I always urge farmers to go and do food sampling at the laboratories. Peleka umenunua kama ni chick mash. Chick ni kadogo sana, it's so delicate, so ukianza kupea kuku pata hata haimei manyoya.
Where are these labs? So that we can...
We have so many. We have the Carlos.
Yes.
Carlos kuna branch iko Thika. We have the, as long as kuna have the Kabete vet labs, they do sampling of the feeds. Take the feeds there, acha kuambie we have this quantity and this quality of your feeds. Do ujue kama kuku yenye napea hii chakula kama itamea poa. You find unaweza pata place upate kuku hazina manyoya. Ufikirie information pekee. Lakini hata si hivyo, because the protein content and the protein level in that feed is so poor, so unapata most of the times the 80% of the protein is for feather formation, and then upate kuku haina manyoya, ufikirie ni moshono na ni kuku, chakula haikuwa na protein.
Lack of protein.
So farmers doing BSF there, keep it up, and for those who won't, go learn from your fellow farmers, do the BSF so that you can cut your cost, and then the Azola and about the veggies. They help kuku in idling.
Yes.
You find a poultry, kuku zinapeck each other. So you find a poultry, a chicken that is draining blood, imetoka wapi na kuna place imeinjeriwa, lakini the idleness inafanya zikulane na bado hata hazina calcium enough. So the veggies are still good, you hang them somewhere so the cuckoos can feed on those veggies. Yeah.
So all this points out to a major opportunity for circular farming, circular sort of situation where one thing will go to this one will lead that, and then becomes fertilizer goes. But talk to us about those sorts of things and how your farm is utilizing that sort of economy.
So for me, the BSF, the BSF feeds on the waste. It's feed on that waste, like the kitchen peelings.
Yes.
And the cuckoos zenye zina poop. I still use that manure to feed on my BSF. So that BSF feeds on my waste from the poultry.
Yes.
And then that BSF I feed it from the kuku. So whatever, now it's around because Kenya kuku ina poop ndo natumia kwa BSF. Hakuna effect.
Hazitaanza kumea kichwa ingine or nini because of eating something that their poop.
No. It's safe for them. That one in the pig dung is so safe for them. So at least unapata you're not wasting. Kenya umetumia pale kwa kitchen hutupi, unapea BSF zako, and then now BSF wako do unapea kuku wako, and that kuku wakipoop whatever you're using that pale ulikuwa na veggies zenye kwa nakwambia upe. So you still use that manure to plant your veggies, and the other part of manure to feed on your BSF. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. You mentioned pork. So you also have pigs?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
But farmers can then introduce them into this space because of that circular economy.
Yes, I have different pig farmers that are doing that. That now at the moment they are starting. Most of the pig farmers, they didn't believe that the pig would feed on the BSF because they are the larvae that are walking. So they were like, itakula aje hata. So I took several farmers to a certain farm. Wanafanya pigs, and they saw them wanafanya the BSF, and they're doing that kind of circular economy in agriculture, and they were like, so it can do this. So at least now we have most of the poultry farmers doing the BSF, but now the pig farmers are still indulging in that. Yeah. So
then the challenge for many farmers here then becomes learning, and like you said, you learned by doing and by seeing and being kushikwa mkono. So who will hold the hands of these farmers? Is it you, or is it other people out there who will then say that this is a safe space for people to come and learn their farming, and then after that graduate into farmers themselves, and who will continue supporting them after that? Because we know that extension services by government and others are no longer really there.
Yeah. Okay, for me, I do farm follow-ups, and I have so many farmers that I'm helping at the moment in terms of the crop production and animal production. Yes. And still other agronomists out there. As long as you have somebody, if you have a question and maybe you want to try something and you don't have anyhow of how to do it, seek guidance from the agronomist near you. Because if you don't do that, apparently whatever you'll be doing, it will be like a waste. So I have farm follow-ups that I do on broilers most of the times on poultry, because poultry farmers out there are struggling to know about the diseases and how to raise the poultry. So, and bado on the crop production. Yeah.
There are lots of people, especially youth out there, who want to start somewhere, but they're still in their parent spaces, hawana shamba, they have no resources, they want to start out, but they don't really know what to do. Where do they start?
Si lazima kuwa na shamba. Okay, si lazima you start at a large scale, but at the moment you have something called conical gardens. Then zinakaa tu kama ni tires zimewekelewa.
Yes.
Have that hata kama ni mbili. From that conical you can have your own spinach and kales that you'll be selling. You can do even the gunias. Ama the half side of a tank and the blue tanks and plant on something. See, goja hiyo kidogo kidogo tu, with the time utakuwa kijege and start saving. At least you'll have something to buy of your own and do your own farming. So si lazima uko na that big source of land hapo nyuma. Kama kwa mzazi na mzazi pia nataka kulima, unajua huwezi mwambia unataka kulima by force. So improvise the conical gardens, the kitchen garden using the sacks. At least you can do your farming there, the small farming there. Yeah.
With all the things we've talked about the challenges, we've talked about successes, we've talked about initiatives, we've talked about the gaps. What do you think in terms of policy support, in terms of institutional support? Because government is out there, it's listening, it keeps talking about creating opportunities for youth and that sort of thing. What do they do to make sure that we multiply these success stories?
Saizi kianza kusema kuhusu the government making opportunities for people. Yes, they say it that way, but the best thing ni mtu ujitume tu. Acha story ya juu kisema saizi you wait for the government, me being an agronomist, agoje ile time Kiambu County ama kwetu Murang'a County they give positions for agronomists for me to go and do that. It will take me time, even it can take me decades.
Yes, but what if they were sitting and they were listening? What would make your life easier?
Supporting us.
How?
Mambo na market, because you find sometimes kama saizi on taxations of the produce, and you find bado hadi vitu zenye tunanua kwa agrovet bado zimekuwa expensive. So I would love the government to support the agricultural sector. At least wache kufinywa, acha sema saizi venye tuko tumefinywa sana, and at least they listen to us on what we want, because on agriculture, unless someone has been to that field, huwezi elewa. Because hao wenye wako hapo kwa field watakwambia tulifanya hivi imekuwa hivi. So I would love them to listen to the young farmers there, support them, let them go on training sessions, but we can help them on the farm inputs, maybe fertilizers and maybe the other different varieties of crop. At least they have a listening ear onto the young agriculture on the produce.
Do you think we take farmers for granted?
50-50.
So then my final question, do you want to grow to become an even bigger farmer? Is scale the answer, or is do we say we become more intensive? Because lots of people will look to introduce to increase productivity. So is it that you will put your money, your funds, your resources into having a larger space, or are you going to become more intense? What direction? Is there one way of doing it, or does anyone go there different ways?
You have to have, if you want to have that large produce, the scale must be the factor. Because again, with a small piece of land, with that large scale that you want of produce, that you want to work for that. So have that a bigger scale and then intensify on that. Because if you don't, now sasa tutaanza kutengana about the produce and whatever you have and whatever the land factor that you have, they won't vary.
Finally, market systems. Tumeona watu Nyandarua wanasema cabbage zimejaa huku, Isiolo watu wanasema kuna njaa. In fact, in some parts of the same Nyandarua is drought. How come those cabbages are not moving from glut to drought area and finding a market?
Okay, saizi unaweza pata the means of transport inaweza leta shida. And then uko, like now I have a farmer that was complaining to me, nimepeleka kwa market, nauza 5 bob, hakuna mtu ananunua cabbage.
Wow.
And umeenda kwa market, umesema umerauka mapema, unapata kuna road kama 5 zimefika mbele yako na zinauza tu hiyo bei tu ya kutupa. And unapata market, let me say the transport, means of transport. Juu hakuna haja nitoke hapa niende Isiolo. Niende nikauze cabbage 10 bob. Na nimechoma hiyo transport. So means of transport at the moment ndio imekuwa ikivari saa hizi.
So transport is the biggest challenge.
Yes, because kama ni kutafuta means of transport lazima tafute pick up. Nilipewa mtu wa pick up, nilifuel pick up. Mimi ndo nitaipeleka car wash bado. Edha nitaniambia nitapata nini kwa farm. Na kuna watu wenye walienda kunichunia wenye nitalipa hiyo labor.
Yes.
I'll be left incurring losses on my own. Yeah.
Oh, farming seems to be such a thankless job, yet it is such an important role in our society today. But unfortunately, we are out of time, Monica. That brings our conversation to an end. But thank you so much for making the time to talk to us. Of course, we endeavoring to bring people the insights that enable them make decisions about their lives and their livelihoods. Asante sana.
Karibu.
Well, that of course brings us to the end of that conversation. Of course, the show continues here again during our next edition, Mondays and again on Tuesdays. Up next is the news in Swahili. So do make a date for that. My name is Peter Wakaba. Kwaheri ya kuonana.
Unalima ardhi, mlango wa kulima kuwa mshindi.